Thank you for joining us for today's interview. We really appreciate your involvement and support in the Chinese community.
Okay, so how did your family immigrate to the United States?
Uh, oh, this is a good, you'll love this question. I'll love this, and I'll make it short. My dad was 21, and he married my mom when she was 16, right? At the time, he went to Hong Kong to marry my mom at 16, but because he couldn't bring his wife back, they were separated for 10 years. And then what happened was that my dad got drafted into the Army Air Force, and as a consequence, once you become affiliated with the United States, then he was able to bring his wife back.
How did the store open?
Oh, before my dad was drafted, he was admitted to the College of Engineering at the U of A. Before that, he actually owned a grocery store. He actually came and worked with a friend of his, opened his own grocery store, and then the war got started and he got drafted. So after the war, he comes back and he buys a grocery store on the west side of town.
So did language barriers affect the business?
No, what's interesting is our grocery store was in a primary Hispanic neighborhood. So they had to learn Spanish. In fact, my mother spoke Spanish better than she could speak English.
What was it like growing up with the grocery store and how did it impact you now?
Oh, being the oldest in the family, you got the key responsibility of maintaining everything. So I learned, profit and loss margins in a grocery store. I learned about inventory and stuff like that for a grocery store. It gave me a good business sense.
What were the customers like back then?
They were terrific. The Hispanic neighborhood was very friendly. During Christmas time, my parents would bag up little bags of groceries with nuts and fruits and give it to them for the holidays, for Christmas. And the Hispanic neighborhood would bring a dozen tamales to our family.
Were there any challenges growing up being one of few Chinese families in Tucson?
Oh, not at all. You know why? Back in the 40s and 50s, the Chinese community was very close. There was a core family of like maybe 8 families. We all had our last name of Lee, L-E-E. And so each family would hold a party. Our family would hold Christmas party. Another family would hold New Year's party. Another family would hold Thanksgiving. And another family would hold Easter dinners. So that's how we kept in contact with each other. We had the dinners that we held together.
How has your family maintained their Chinese culture over the generations?
Okay, maintaining culture is very difficult, but one of the key factors that helps is the fact that my sons had my mother who spoke only to them in Chinese, right? And my mother was very traditional Chinese. And so my kids, they learned a little Chinese and they learned a lot of Chinese tradition. In fact, my wife, who was born in Flagstaff, is probably one of the very few American-born Asians can still make zhong.
So like while growing up like with the store, did your family still try to like celebrate some of the traditional Chinese holidays?
Absolutely.
Like the Lunar New Year?
Oh, Lunar New Year all the time. Yeah. In fact, I bought some those red bracelets for the Year of the Snake. I bought like maybe 10 of them, and I gave them to my granddaughters.
What was the best thing that you can think of, the worst thing about growing up in a supermarket, grocery store?
Oh, okay. The neighbors were all very friendly. They loved my parents loved them. But the problem is, how do you deal with the kids? As adults, they're okay, but the kids were terrible. And being, like I said, the only Asian kid in the neighborhood, it wasn't too much fun.
Since you faced like racism in your childhood, have you tried to fit in or have you tried to stand out and fight for yourself?
Yeah, I think both. You try to fit in because you got to be able to work with somebody, but you definitely want to stand out. So one of the things about standing out is most Asians are very hardworking, and they don't cause waves. They'll work, and they'll keep their nose to the grindstone, and they won't cause any problems. and people will notice that about you, just working hard and not complaining. And I find that the most helpful.
Like, what do you want to see in the future of Asian Americans?
Okay, you know what? I'm not really worried about Asian Americans because no matter where we go, you'll do fine. So overall, I'm not worried about Asians. Asians will adopt, right? They're smart. They're not troublemakers.
You said that you faced racism growing up as a Chinese person. Do you think the perception of like people's perception of Chinese people has changed over time?
Yes, it has. The very fact that you have 5 brilliant students here, you know, when you guys go out there, they're not going to say, hey, I bet you own a restaurant or I bet you own a grocery store. So the perception has changed because, you know, no matter what race you are, you always get stereotyped. I'd rather be stereotyped as being a hardworking, a bright student who's a pharmacist or a doctor or is a lawyer.
Like in the Cantonese region, they make a lot of tea from herbs that are really good for your body. Does your family still like practice that tradition even in America?
You know what? That's an excellent question also. Because my mom was very traditional Chinese. Whenever we got sick, she always made that real bitter Chinese tea. And we all, are you familiar with that real bitter tea when you're sick, you know, you got a cold or a fever? You know, I was drinking that stuff till I was like in my 20s. Even though there was Tylenol, antihistamine, my mom said, hey, drink this tea.
What is the most important skill or skill set that you take away from working in a restaurant and grocery store?
You know, working with people, all right? You know the good people that you want to help and the people that are nasty to you, you stay away from them.
If you, like, to end it off, I think, like, if you could tell all the Chinese, like, young boys and girls out there one thing, what would you tell them? Like, as a piece of advice.
That's easy. I love what you're doing. I encourage to keep going. Work hard. You know, don't cause a lot of problems because my best advice to you, no matter where you work, keep your nose to the grindstone and don't make any issues. Because what you'll learn is when you're quiet and you're doing your job, they're going to say, you know what, we need a manager. Pick that Asian woman or the Asian guy. You know, they work hard, they don't make any problems. We'll make him the manager. And then once you become manager, you can move up, make more money, get married, go on vacations, buy a car. You don't believe me, I can tell.